That's great. Thanks a lot, Claire. And welcome everybody. And thank you for spending some time with us. We're very, very excited to share everything about Genus, where we've got to so far, where we want to get to, and basically open the floor to you guys to ask any questions you'd like. So we'll start with introductions. My name's John. I'm one of the co-founders and a director here at Genus. For me, this is a mission of hope. And, you know, what does that hope mean? For me, it's all about bringing on the next generation to think about the future of the planet, because we all know there's a bit of a problem, but how do we address it? How do we make it something that they want to get involved in? Because let's face it, they've got the most to win. And that's really why we started this for me. My hope is that we build the biggest possible business, because that's how we get as much impact as possible. That's how we get the most, you know, sustainability through the door. So that's really my hope. And then I'll pass over to Brent.
Awesome. Hi, my name's Brent. I'm also one of the co-founders of Genus, and I'm a self-professed tech nerd. So I run everything tech and product here. I started coding at 4. My dad's a software teacher and had my first software job at 14, I believe. So I do look relatively young, but I've got a lot of experience in this space. And I'm really proud to be telling you about what we've built so far with Genus. I have to admit, I'm not originally an environmentalist. I like to consider myself one of the first Genus agents, or really potentially the target audience for Genus is myself. I grew up in school learning a lot about environmental issues and sustainability, but always found it quite a hard political issue. So never thought I could really get involved. And that was until I met Jed and John and really got inspired by this cause and what we're doing here today. So I'm really excited to tell you a bit more, and I'll talk a bit more later about the product.
Yeah, so let's start with why, as Simon Sinek said. Jed and I, we've been friends for years. You know, we served together. We've always wanted to start a business together. And then one day I was watching a nature documentary with my kids, and there was a David Attenborough thing. And there was a section on it about climate change and habitat destruction. And my 2 girls just turned around and said, "Daddy, why is it like this? What's going on?" So I explained to them that a lot of adults don't understand, you know, sustainability and climate change. And some that do just don't care enough. And the light bulb went off. It was kind of like, well, if the adults don't get it, what chance do the kids stand? And at that point, Jed and I really started thinking about building something that can address that problem. So the problem is we're running out of time to save the planet. And the solution is helping to fix that. And we wanted to talk to the kids because, you know, I'm a dad, I'm a passionate environmentalist. And we went and started playing with ideas about how you could get kids involved in something that's traditionally fairly stale. So without any more ado, we'll start the presentation. And essentially, what we're trying to do is, as I've said, address the climate change problem, address the unfolding climate catastrophe. We're running out of time to save the planet. That's the simple truth. Unfortunately, the kids know this, and, you know, they're smart, they're engaged, they want to help. But traditionally, you know, and this is a problem, and it is a real problem, we're running out of time, but sustainability sucks. It's got an image problem. It's traditionally been seen as quite hard, quite boring. It's a bit of a grind, you know, and they see it as an adult problem. So how do we change that? Well, Generation Us talks to a digital generation. And if we're going to engage these kids, you know, in sustainability, it has to be in their world, on their terms. So we figure we've got to start online. We've got to make it as fun as possible. They like playing, they like having fun, they like collaborating and interacting. And that's really where we start. So Genus is about, you know, making sustainability fun and leveraging some of the technology, you know, out there, like, and gamifying it. So we're calling Genus the gamification of sustainability. The purpose, really, if you think about some of the other tech startups, you know, Canva made design democratized. Anyone can be a designer. Uber made it possible for any car to be a taxi. And of course, Airbnb made any home, you know, a hotel. So we want to do the same for sustainability. We want to make it possible for all kids to become planet-saving heroes. And ultimately, and this is an image that you're looking at now from one of our very early paper trials, we started the whole thing from the ground floor. This is an image of my kids and their friends doing a cleanup in the basketball courts. Sustainability can be fun. You know, we went out there, we gave them bags, off they went. There was a big competition. They were having so much fun. And that was a big learning for us. It's got to be fun. We've got to make it so that they want to do this. Who said it can't be fun? So how does it actually work? That's up to Brent. Brent's the guy who's built the whole thing from the ground up. So I'll hand over to him.
Cool. Yeah, so this might sound amazing, but how does this platform actually work? And I want to talk you through 5 different key areas. There's obviously a lot to it, but these are our 5 core areas. So it starts online with gamification, educational content, and fun activities, but then transfers out into the real world through our awards program, our impact missions, and finally, I'll also touch on our platform partnerships. So starting with gamification, we have to speak kids' language. They are digital first. They are gamers. We need to speak to them how they like to be spoken to, and that's through engaging them through gamification. Next up is educational content. So we've created curriculum-aligned content for teachers, for the classroom, but also for kids at home. Kids have to understand why they're doing what they're doing, and so educational content is so important for that, understanding the context. Next up is the awards program. So we've curated year-long school journeys where the kids in the classroom work through a series of activities and educational content in order to earn their award. And there is an award per year group, there's badges, there's a progression framework basically. So if you think of something like Scouts or Duke of Ed, we've done that, but we've taken it and transferred it to the classroom and sustainability. Next up is impact missions. We've got a library of, I believe, over 180 impact missions now, and they range from getting the kids out into the real world, completing native rehabilitation programs, through to lobbying their local cafe to swap to sustainable packaging. We've got a really wide library, and this is what we like to consider the most core part of our platform, because it gets the kids being active citizens in their community. And finally, I'll touch on platform partnerships. Kids have so many interests and activities they do at home. If we can speak to them in these other games and these other worlds, we have such a wider reach. So things like Minecraft, we've started working on an educational world where the kids can have fun in something they usually play on, but it translates back into Genus points in the Genus program. One thing I will talk about is we're trying to keep up to date with the latest technologies. So things like the metaverse and more immersive educational tools will be coming in the future. We're really keen to explore that area.
Excellent, thank you. So now we're going to pass over to our co-founder, Jed, and Jed looks after our operations and our finance functions. You know, Jed's really kind of the brains behind, the front end of the business. So Jed's going to talk to you a little bit about things like the markets that we serve and the market sizes and things like that.
Yeah, thanks, John and Brent. Apologies for being late joining. I've had a technical meltdown at this end, but managed to get on in the end. So basically, we think we're at the forefront of several different massively growing markets. First of all, there's clearly children who are really anxious about the environment. All of the science out there says that climate anxiety is becoming increasingly important to children, and they want to do something about the planet they're going to inherit, but they don't know what they can do. So if you think about it from their point of view, when people talk about, the world heating up by 2050, by 2060, those are just future imaginary dates for us. They will be very much alive and kicking at that stage, and they're very interested. They want to know what they can do. Parents want an app that entertains their children. So we all know that children love screens, and if you've been around anyone above the age of 6, I think, or even younger, they will grab for the screen. So parents want their kids to be entertained on screens, but they want those apps to be productive and meaningful, and also something which gets them off the screen and into real world activity. And that's a core strategy for us. We call it screen time to green time. And teachers as well, there's a really strong need out there because there's a cross-curriculum priority in the Australian curriculum, whereby educators actually have to deliver environmental and sustainability studies. There's only 2 in the entire curriculum. The other one is Indigenous studies. But nobody has given teachers any materials or tools to deliver that whatsoever. So basically, children, parents, and teachers all are really hungry for this. And before, when I was talking about the huge markets out there, EdTech market and the gaming market, by the way, both of them are forecast to double by the end of this decade. Going to our business model, we have what's called a SaaS, software as a service model. But basically, we look for parents to pay subscription for their children to be on the awards programs or to be able to use the platform. At the moment, the entry starting price is $2.99 a month. We've had quite a lot of feedback that amount could be significantly more, but as we are new and entering new markets, we're going to keep it deliberately low at the moment. And often we talk about parents, but often it won't just be parents. It will be grandparents, uncles, aunts, godparents. It'll be people who are looking to buy meaningful subscriptions for children that helps them make a difference. The second of the 3 core income streams is schools. Basically, EdTech is increasingly important in all school curricula at the moment. And this will basically, we're looking at schools paying, it works at about an average dollar per child. So that there's tiered ranges depending on the size of the school, but it averages out at $380 per school. And the third income stream is what we're calling strategic partnerships, because as we increasingly encourage children and their families to lead sustainable lifestyles, that leads them to making marketing choices and household purchasing choices. So the example that's on the screen there is Woolworths, which is constantly pushing itself as being the green supermarket. We will be looking at sponsorship from those kind of partners. And the other example that's on there is Diamond Energy. One of the best ways for children to earn the biggest amount of points is if they can encourage their parents to move to a green energy provider. Same thing for super, same thing for banking. And they will be in a position to take upfront and trailing commissions from any strategic partner that has been very closely vetted to make sure that their green credentials really stack up. In terms of market validation, as I mentioned before, there's a global study which was done of, I think, 10,000 children across, I think, 10 nations. 84% of them, it's very clear figures that basically they're angry and scared about climate change, what we call the Greta effect. Basically, kids are becoming increasingly vociferous and want to take part in being part of the solution. 92% of parents say that sustainability is important to them. They are the key purchasers of the product, and 83% of teachers consider themselves under-resourced. We've had to pick and choose for those stats because there's 100 similar stats that support the same arguments. There's a massive need out there for this. There's a load of other stats on this page. I'm not going to go through all of them, but basically just to say, I think it sort of reinforces this idea that there's various market forces, and we think we sit at the nexus of all of them coming together to provide an offering which really basically meets those market needs that are as yet unmet. Okay, so to market size, so there are 4 million school children in Australia, 1 million of them are in New South Wales. Basically, of those 4 million, 3.2 million have internet access. I should think about a similar amount hate being called children because they're probably teenagers and tweens. But our target market is for 10% market penetration. Again, a very conservative target, or it sort of speaks to our strategy of we balance conservative targets with ambitious growth. 10% market penetration compares to, for example, 60% with things like, I think, Reading Eggs, or another lesson plan provider, Inquisitive, has, I think, achieved 80% in its first 4 years of operation. But again, what we're going to do is we're ambitious for those targets, but in terms of putting our financials together, we're very conservative.
Excellent. Thank you, Jed. So now we'll talk a little bit about the traction that the business is getting today. And if you bear in mind that really from from starting to code this and starting to plan it from the, from day one, we're about a year old, and we're essentially pre-launch. We piloted, and we tested in schools, and we built a massive network of advocates, and a task force of really highly engaged teachers. But really, we're at the very early stages of our journey. And I think it's testament to the rightness of the idea that we've gone and got some really meaningful traction out there. So we'll talk about that quickly. We've got some excellent commercial arrangements, but we've started with Take 3 for the Sea. So high profile, very well understood and well loved cause, all about plastic pollution and how we can mitigate the impact of plastic in our world. And we're partnering with them essentially to forward that message, but also to build classroom resources, homework activities, and a marketing campaign around it. And Take 3 for the Sea are coming along on the journey, supporting us with that, and they're going to be co-branding their marketing towards us as well. So it's a really nice proof of concept for the commercial partnerships. So Love Food, Hate Waste is an initiative run by the New South Wales Environmental Protection Agency. So this is a government body who's given us $20,000 to, again, develop classroom content, curriculum-aligned classroom content about how you can avoid waste in food and why that's important environmentally. It'll also set up a load of homework missions and impact missions that families and kids can get involved in, whether that's creating really yummy recipes made from leftovers to avoid them being thrown away, or just planning your grocery shop with the kids to make sure that what you're buying doesn't end up in the bin. And again, they're paying for us to develop this concept, activate it, and then promote it online. We've got a big marketing campaign, a big PR launch plan for that in a few weeks. So again, really nice proof of concept that this commercial partnership revenue stream works and has legs. Final partnership, and quite a recent one, we were just accepted into Blackbird's Giant cohort 5. And what that is really, it's an incubator where you can go in and you learn from the best of the best of the best in a variety of startup industries. And it's basically acceptance into a program like that is an indication of itself that it's a statement of intent for the market, really. So we've got big hopes for how that's going to help us, really, really accelerate our path to market and our growth over the next 12 months. So very, very exciting development there. Traction with schools, again, quite meaningful, really, considering we're pre-launch essentially. We've got 800 schools in conversations at the moment, and this comes from our sort of volume approach to leading into schools. So we go and talk to school systems, whether that's Catholic diocese or it's Education WA. Education WA on its own looks after about 500 schools, and we've got conversations with each one of these kind of systems, and most of them are actually supplying teacher time and resource for us to validate the content, to validate the structure of the lessons for the kids and things like that. And this is a good indication that everything we're saying to them resonates. They're looking for it. It's something that they need, something that they don't currently have, and something that we're able to offer them. Actual kids, we've got 250 as of now, and last week I think that was our peak day. There was like 100 kids on in a single day, which is amazing, and that's growing constantly. We have 40 very, very highly engaged teachers that contribute content. So everything we do on the education platform is designed for teachers by teachers. So that's, again, a really good basis. And then, of course, we're having conversations at the education department level as well. So we're coming in at the grassroots and building up school by school, but we're also going in at the top. So it's a bottom-up approach as well as a top-down one. And yeah, we've got 16 schools currently piloting with us. So that's 16 schools actively working with Genus, actively out there doing impact missions, actively, making a difference. And every single kid in that school now has started that journey towards a more sustainable future. How are we going to spend our money? So when we thought about how to raise for the next phase, it immediately became clear to all of us that crowdfunding resonated. And the reason for that is it really kind of backs up our ethos of democratizing sustainability, of making this, the biggest possible journey for as many people as possible. So we want to go out to the whole of Australia and say, this is what we're doing, come along on the journey. It's really, really backs up the whole ethos behind, Genus. So that's why we chose to go with Birchal. In terms of what we're going to do, there's two real buckets for the next phase, and it's all about growing the business and growing the market. So product development is absolutely mission critical. We need to make sure that we have as many features and experiences on there at any one time. So that takes, that takes time and that takes money to develop. We're integrating things like Roblox and Minecraft and, lots of different metaverse applications. And Paul Brandt's got the job of heading that up, but he can't do it on his own. So we need to increase headcount. And of course, content has to be fresh. It has to be new. It has to keep moving. So that's going to be an ongoing cost as well. And then, of course, we've got the market development. So that's, sales development, pipeline development, all that sort of thing. Takes time, takes people, and that increase in headcount, again, is going to help us get where we need to get and hit our targets. That's as far as we've got. So I suppose now what we'll do is open up the floor to
questions. Yes, fantastic. And thank you so much for a great presentation. If you do have a question for the Genus team, please use the Q&A bot down the bottom to type your question in, and we'll get to it as soon as it comes through. A few questions have already come through to me via email before the session of people who couldn't make it. So the first question I have is, who are the other competitors in this space?
It's a very good question. And in our very early days, we quite arrogantly used to leave a page blank in our pitch deck to say that no one's doing what we do. We have no direct competitors. But the simple fact is there are players out there in the edtech market, and there's some very, very good ones. And there's even edtech products that talk about sustainability. So, you've got your Cool Australias who, develop a huge amount of content. It's sponsored content that then is absolutely free to the users. They do a great job in terms of the provision of content. You've got, sustainability players in the education area as well, like Climate Clever, but what Climate Clever do, they do a very good job on an excellent platform, but it's primarily around around carbon neutrality. So schools can work towards that, but it's more around the schools doing it, and it's more around, it's an institutional thing. I think where we differ to Cool Australia, it is not just about content to digest, it's very much about activity, and it's about impact, and it's about the kids not only learning but reinforcing that learning through activity. And we're different to Climate Clever, I think, because it's not just about one area of sustainability. It's not just about carbon neutrality. We look at sustainability holistically through 4 key pillars, and we repeat those every year, and they are causes of climate change, waste reduction, threatened environments, and endangered species. So we're a much broader platform that is based not just on learning, but on activity. That screen time to green time model that Jed mentioned, fundamental to what we do. This is climate for kids, climate by kids.
I might jump in there as well. I was talking to a principal just this morning, actually, and he was saying the reason he loves this is that if you look at things like eco schools and the Sustainable Schools Network, they're all about the school. And he said there's nothing else out there which is rewarding the child for doing it and getting the individual child. And I think that's a real point of difference for us. And he was saying he hasn't been able to find anybody else that's doing it, and I can't think of anyone else either.
And one of the questions that's come through has to some more examples of those gamified tasks that convert screen time to green time. I mean, you gave the example of picking up rubbish on the basketball court with your own children. What are some of the other tasks that kids are looking to do using your platform?
So they vary from the important, like getting mum and dad to change their electricity over to a green provider. There's massive carbon savings to be made from that, and also it sends the right message out to the markets, so that then we build that up, and that systemic level change that we're targeting, right through to the more fun stuff. We have lots of creative stuff like upcycle some of your toys or your clothes to give them a new life, essentially. Do a swap meet with your mates, so again, you're not throwing stuff out, you're inheriting something else, and you're giving something you don't care about anymore away. So it's all about extending the life of stuff, circular economy, economy. You know, there's lots of very, very creative hands-on stuff, you know, events that they can organize, these kids. So you can meet up in the park and have a 10-minute sprint so you can pick up the most litter, that sort of thing. Really, really varied, deliberately so, but lots and lots of fun stuff that is manageable and impactful, more importantly. And every time they submit one of these tasks, they get rewarded. You know, they get Genus coins or they get points and they work towards their badges. It's all about this recognizing success and celebrating the wins. That's it's fundamental to the journey.
Awesome. And one of the questions that's come through during your presentation, you were talking about, you've in conversations with 800 schools, 250 kids have used this product. You're aiming for a 10% market penetration. You're mentioning in there, there's a mixture of, teenagers, adolescents, and tweens. But what is the core age group that you are targeting to use your product?
So we're being very pragmatic about that. We're starting small in one very targeted age group, and that's years 4 to 6. So that's essentially 8-year-olds up to 12-year-olds. And the reason we chose those is because, well, number one, that's the age of my kids, and I know that. But also, they're old enough to get it. And they're still young enough and keen enough to want to. So, we figured we'd start small, learn there, and then as we've nailed that, then go down and up. So eventually we want to get to K-12, but we're very, very focused on getting primary school right first.
And is that the age group that's been validated in where kids have mentioned that they're frustrated with sustainability?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. A question has come through about tax benefits for investors. So to sort of semi-answer that, the question for the Genus team is, are you considered an early stage innovation company?
Yes.
And then for that investor that's asked that, obviously we can't give you tax advice on this webinar, but noting that Genus is a self-qualified ESIC company, do have a look online and see if that tax benefit applies to you. For all other investors on the webinar today and watching from home, the company that you're investing into, Genus, it is a proprietary limited company, so you're buying securities in a private Australian company. So obviously consider your financial position and your own personal tax implications, because it varies from person to person, and make that consideration before investing. So that's a live. I've put on my
Claire, I can't let you get past that without mentioning that the headline things that if you qualify, I think it's an immediate 20% tax credit, and also capital gains, no capital gains on any sales of the shares, and I can't remember how long that lasts for. But it's a pretty impressive tax benefit.
Are there any other shareholders currently in the business apart from the three of you?
Yes, there are. So last year we went out to network and raised nearly $300,000. And that's basically, that was just to get us up and running. That was to start investing in the tech, start investing in, looking around and doing our research. So there's currently 21 shareholders, including the three of us. There's also Craig, who is another founder. He's vesting interest. He's a well thought of edtech consultant. So he's our kind of guide in the education space and the market there, and ensuring that we got product market fit. So he's a key shareholder as well. We have a range of retail investors. There's a couple of more sophisticated investors as well. So yeah, 21 is the answer.
And I suspect the follow-up question to that is, what is their shareholding of the organisation? So at the moment it's 20%, all of them added together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. One of the questions that's come through as part B to that question is, in terms of what you're looking to raise in this round of capital, what is the minimum target that you are hoping to achieve in this round, and what is a goal maximum target, noting that we're waiting for the EOI stats to land to think about what you're going to put the settings on this particular deal, but what's the hope for Genus to get to the next point of growth?
So I think a minimum is 120, 150. I think that makes it valid in its own right, as well as, us obviously growing our network and bringing on a load of investors that potentially become advocates. We're going to set quite an ambitious maximum raise of 800,000. And what the reason for that is, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, that gives us 12 to 18 months runway to really go out there and grow that, that customer base, prove the concept, and then look to go overseas. And number two, we've got a couple of high net worth investors that are talking a very good game. So we don't want to set a target of 500 and find out that we could have raised more. So we're going to be quite ambitious with it, but not be greedy. We only want to raise what we need to raise, and then we'll probably go back out to market in a year or two for full seed funding.
John, I'll just correct you on that small point. If we got 800,000, it gives us the 2-year runway.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Cash flow.
A question's come through about affiliate partnerships and how you're investigating those. Can you give us any more insight on potential affiliate partnerships that you're progressing?
We have got a load of partnership conversations ongoing at the moment. So really, if it works for Genus and it has a sustainability angle, it's on the table. So it can be anything. You know, Jed mentioned Woolworths. You know, the fact that we can talk to those guys about bringing you know, young families and kids into the store on a regular basis, that hyper local kind of marketing angle for them as well kind of resonates. We're in very good position with Taronga Zoo, and they actually opened up. They like what we're doing enough that they've opened up a conversation with the entire zoo and aquarium association of Australia. So every member of that organisation is a potential partner. There's, you know, used to be Innova, but now we're talking to, you know, Diamond Energy about whether we can have some kind of relationship there when we send people over to change their energy provider. You know, there's just so many ways we can apply a partnership model. It's quite exciting. It's my favorite part of the business, if I'm honest.
So just so I'm understanding as well, so partners, you mentioned before, like Take 3 for the Sea and producing some content for them. Do they pay you to create that content?
So Take 3 for the Sea is an in-kind relationship, whereby we both benefit from co-marketing. But the Love Food for Hate Waste initiative is very much revenue generating. So we were given $20,000 to go out and build this for them. So yeah.
Nice, beautiful, thank you. A question has come through, how can a school join the pilot program?
It's very, very simple. You go to genus.earth.
Yep. Yeah, head over to genus.earth. There's an educators page. You can sign up there. There's also a little message thing down the bottom that pops up, and I say hello every time you log in. So come and say hello, type in your email address. You're straight into the platform where you can check out the resources, and we'll also be in touch to set up what we're calling the Genus program, where we set up, you know, a timeline, basically a program of work for the teacher. So super easy. Can we share links after this, or I believe it's on the offer page as well on Birchal?
Yeah, totally. So the recording will go around to people afterwards, and a follow-up email as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So another question that's come through is about talking to Coles and Woolworths and some of the big supermarkets that you have mentioned in your presentation. So a clarification on whether you are currently having the meaningful talks with these organizations, or if they're a target customer and partner in the future. And then, you know, how would that collaboration on eco-friendly gamification work, do you feel?
Yeah, so Woolworths is a target. You know, let's be very, very clear about that. The other examples that we've used are all real and happening, but Woolworths is a target. Now, how would it work? That would take some development, and it would, you know, it would be guided by what Woolworths' ambitions are. But we're imagining, say, for example, one of our missions is take a bag of soft plastics to Woolies to get it recycled. You know, they have these soft plastics recycling stations. So, you know, if a kid and their family go in there once a week, and we can prove to Woolies that we're getting, you know, 2,000 families in there, you know, every month or whatever, then that starts to have a commercial outlook for Woolies. And of course, they have a sustainability program, they have, you know, initiatives and a position in market that they want to forward. So do we end up building almost like a sustainability points system with Woolies, or is it, you know, rewards for kids that come in and do this on a regular basis? Do they get a stamp, you know, and once they've got 10 stamps, then there's a reward for that. So how it looks is really up to, you know, us and Woolies to work out. But yeah, it's there for the taking.
I might jump in there as well and say that our ambition and the aggregator we keep looking at is Qantas frequent flyer. So at the moment, you can't drive into a petrol station or walk into a supermarket or walk into any shop without saying, we will offer you Qantas frequent flyer. But all of our partners, and there are over 100 of them, it will be, you can earn Genus points. And it could be, so for example, with Taronga Zoo, you can earn Genus points by coming to the zoo and doing certain activities. It might be more specific, tailored for someone like Woolworths, because it's such a big partner. The small, hyper-local ones, so for example, Northern Beaches Dolphin Savers Association, again, it works there. It's not so revenue generating, but it allows us to basically expand our reach so that we become the first true aggregator for the sustainability market.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And a question on that in terms of the incentive for children to keep using the app, because it makes a lot of sense for the parents of the kids, if the kids encourage parents to change energy provider and they save a lot on their energy bill. But ongoing, beyond just feeling good that they're saving the planet, what is the plan to incentivize children to keep returning to the app and platform to keep using it?
I can talk to that one. So I spoke briefly about gamification. I didn't want to go too far into it because it's a really big topic, but there's a lot of, it's basically using gaming principles such as progression, reward, challenge, storytelling. We've got a list of about 20 different gaming principles we apply to everything they do. So inside the platform, we have quizzes, we have word searches, we have videos they can watch and listen to and earn points for completing. And we want to keep growing all of that content. So all of those gaming principles around, limited time, rewards, customization, they've got an avatar, they've got a 3D immersive world that they live in. They can change their island and the reef below. It's really fun for them. And they can also, another big part of it is the fun they have with their friends, the collaboration side. So they can see each other's profiles, they can see progress they're making, missions they've completed, what different badges and avatar items other, friends have unlocked. So very similar to how a game keeps a kid coming back, a big part of what we're doing is using gamification principles to get that kid coming back.
And I think there's also, there's stuff outside of the platform. Brent's very in touch with the platform. That's kind of what you do. But we're talking, thinking and talking about things like, do we reward them with meaningful merch? So obviously it wouldn't suit what we do to produce a load of plastic tat and give those away, or to send them certificates that are printed on paper or anything like that. But there's lots of different ways that we can reward these kids and make them feel good about what they're doing outside of the platform as well,
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. A question has come through, and we've probably got maybe three more questions lined up for today's session. A question that has come through is any profit share affiliation for the businesses based on codes at purchases of the app. So if I understand the question correctly, if businesses are referring users to the app, is there a profit share affiliation for those businesses? I believe maybe the question. But basically, what's the benefit to businesses, bringing users to the app and getting them to sign up?
Yeah, so profit share isn't something that we've really considered at the moment. I think the benefits to the business is twofold. Number one, it's that brand association that goes both ways, but it's also just, the sustainability angle. Every major corporate has an ESG thing. Every major corporate has sustainability initiatives. This is about a marketing position for our partners as much as anything. It's about building that awareness that they're trying to do the right thing.
But also, just to be clear, it's more likely that we will be driving traffic to them. So in sort of the partnerships that we've been talking about today, it's more likely that our users will be driving traffic to those, whether it's for profits or non-profits, whether it's purchasing or volunteering. We're much more likely, certainly as we grow, to be that engine of drivers rather than the recipient.
And in terms of going to schools and to your marketing strategy to get out there in front of users, what sort of channels are you utilizing or planning to utilize to do that? And what's your sort of spend expectation to get out in marketing and get these signups?
Yeah, so marketing, we were quite strategic about it. So we started on social media, very organically, very slowly, talking about mission and a bit of thought leadership on things like LinkedIn. We then, as we had more to share, started talking about platform and product and things like that. And then as the missions start coming through, we start talking about, you know, specific kids and user-generated content, highly engaging on social media. We're finding, you know, videos of kids doing cool stuff that's saving the planet, that sort of thing. But obviously, ultimately, we're going to be employing an omni-channel marketing strategy, really. So we're a digital platform, we're a digital business, so that lends itself heavily to digital marketing. But there's also a lot of PR to be had. So, you know, there's trade publications in education, there's sustainability publications. We're going to be leveraging partnerships and collaborators heavily. So, you know, any environmental center, any eco business, these are all potentially marketing channels as well for us. So it's going to be omni-channel. The bulk of the budget is going to be on the digital platform. So
amazing. I think potentially a great question to finish today's session on. There has been a couple of comments coming through from some of the attendees, and for everyone on today's call, we'll be connecting with the Genus team. So if you'd like to talk about any partnerships offline or any opportunities to pilot their product or to otherwise get involved in their community, you'll definitely be getting their contacts and, you know, a direct line to do so. To probably finish today's session, the final question that I have for you is, apart from capital, what do you perceive as your current challenges in the business, and what is going to stop you from reaching success?
Well, I think the short answer is nothing's going to stop us. That's where we were, you know, we're so committed to making this work, you know, not just from an ethical point of view, which is where we started it, but also, you know, we want to build a big business here. You know, there's nothing wrong and there's no contradiction between doing something good and making it profitable. You know, I think that's the economic model of the future. But really, let's be practical. You know, there's always constraints, there's always challenges. Capital is a major one, and that's why we're raising. But we're also working in fairly competitive markets. You know, the EdTech market is very well developed. It's quite mature. There's some big players out there. And, you know, let's face it, there is risk that somebody's going to move over towards sustainability. It's a hot topic. What we've got to do is get this right, which we've done. And then we've got to build it quick, which is why we're trying to raise capital. So the competition thing is real. And I think we're a startup, you know, so as well as there being, you know, potentially competitive, you know, risk, I think there's a risk that we need to compete in very, you know, very hectic markets. You know, kids at home, limited time, very, very fickle about what they want to do. So we need to build the right brand with the right experiences on the platform. And I think when we're doing that, and like I say, all indications are that we've got it, I think we'll be all right.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, today has been an incredible session and wonderful to pop the hood on your company, learn a little bit more about what you've achieved today, which is a fantastic effort to date, and also your plans for the future. Hopefully everyone watching, this has been an interesting and exciting session. I just want to finish off and recapping in terms of next step and how it works to invest in this campaign through an equity crowdfunding platform like Birchal. So when Genus opens their investment opportunity, they're currently in their EOI phase. You'll be able to access their link on the Birchal platform and head through and follow our 5-step process to complete your investment. You'll be given the offer document, which will have the company's most recently completed financial statements, a little bit more information about who's in the company, the equity structure, the governance arrangements. You'll have access to the company constitution and the subscription agreement, so you can read through those documentations before you make your investment. Have a form of ID on you at the time you make your investment, and if you'd like to invest more than $10,000 Australian in this campaign, you'll need to provide evidence of wholesale status that can be acquired from your accountant. If you've got any questions about that at all, head to Birchal and help to our help button page down the bottom, and our customer support team will be more than happy to help guide you through the process. So on that note, thank you everyone for your time today. As I said, a fantastic session and a really exciting campaign to work with. I might hand over to the Genus guys to wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, really. We're, as I said, incredibly excited about what the future holds, and with the help of our, you know, potential investors, we'll get there. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Awesome. Well, enjoy your afternoon, everyone, and look forward to see. Oh no, I hopped in. Oh no, sorry. Go, Brent.
No. So no, I was just saying, no, big thank you. It's incredibly inspiring to see how many people want to get involved in this.
Awesome. And Jed, we don't want to leave you out.
No, I should say as well, thank you, and it's very exciting. I want to hark back to what John said a minute ago. There's absolutely no contradiction at all between saving the planet and making a lot of money while you're doing it. So we're really excited for us, but also for you as investors to be part of the journey.
Amazing. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.